that most of the sold stuff is songs. Most of the sold stuff is still albums.
Even on iTunes?
On iTunes, it's like 60-40, mainly singles. But it's getting closer and closer every year, because one of the things that iTunes has did, if you wanted singles, your only option was really go to iTunes. So people who had a preference for singles are going to go to iTunes earliest. And the first numbers you're going to see are going to overrepresent the value of singles relative to albums. As iTunes gets bigger and bigger, and more people will start going for general reasons, the albums start getting a bigger share. My guess would be, I could be wrong on it, when enough people are on iTunes, albums are going to be more than 50%. But right now it's not.
Just kind of jumping from that point, did you also consider the indirect effects of piracy that are not necessarily harmful? Like there's been a shift from not just to singles, but also from LPs to EPs. Because people say LPs are kind of artificially large. People don't want 12 songs. They want 6 songs. So all of a sudden you're selling a smaller unit for less money. And then also your overhead is lower with an electronic platform than it is with a CD or a record or a cassette. So did you compare profits or only revenues?
No, didn't compare profits because we don't have profits to compare. You're right that the digital distribution allows a lot more singles. It becomes more effective from a cost point of view to put singles out there. But the selling of singles should increase the profits, not decrease the profits of the sellers, because it's what's known as mixed bundling. Pure bundling is like an album by itself. Mixed bundling gives you another dimension where you can think about what you're pricing. And so, for example, you can just pick a price of singles that's high enough that you make as much profit on any single as you do on an album. Anyone who is interested in just that single, it's still going to be cheaper than the album, buys the single, and you can't lose money, even though they're now buying a single instead of an album. That's an option that's always available, and that's not necessarily the best option. So what we expect is mixed bundling gives you more flexibility as a seller. Being able to sell singles and albums should increase your profits, not decrease them. All right?
Does that presume that the buyer wants everything that's on?
No, it doesn't. If you value only 2 songs on a CD and you're willing to pay $15 for it, then you value 2 songs at $15. So if you sell them separately at $7, you're willing to pay $7. And so that's the way it works. You're not being forced to buy anything. People misunderstand the way bundles work. All right, but you're not forced to buy anything. A bundle includes stuff that you may or may not value. But the total value of the bundle has to be higher than what you're paying, or you wouldn't buy it. All right, and there.
I mean, are you just totally? I mean, you may want 2 songs, but you're expecting that in the remaining 10 songs, there's going to be something else that you want.
Okay, so then you think there's some other value.
That would rather eliminate that X factor.
Okay,
and
so.
$2 for 2 songs than pay $15.
Well, but wait a minute. If you only have 2 songs that are worth 2 to you, and then you have the X factors that's worth 1, you're not going to buy an album for 15. You're only going to pay 5 for an album.
Between one or the other. I mean, if you're saying, okay.
The choice is buy the album or keep your money. The example you're giving me is you should keep your money. If you're buying an album and the album costs $15, those songs together are worth $15 to you, based on what you know of those songs at the time you buy them, and assuming that there's no new information that makes you suddenly decide you've changed your mind about the value of the songs. But, you know, forgetting that because that just complicates it. If those songs are worth $15 to you, whether it's 14 for one and 1 for all the others to get together, it's still 15, and that's why you're buying it. If only one song has any value and it's worth 15 to you, then you're willing to pay 15 for the single. That's just simple arithmetic. It has to be true.
Except that people don't think that.
They don't have to think that way. They just have to act that way. That's economics. We assume people.
Cable operators think that way.
Yeah.
So we have a reception right out here in the atrium. Please join us, and please join me in thanking and applauding our speakers. You're going to have to go farther than tell me your forecast. There has to be substitution in the legal services because you've made the legal services.
You would think there would be some, and I don't doubt